how important is it nowadays to have a mobile first approach? Well, in terms of development, but also in terms of strategy.
Huge. So obviously, people probably know about Google and Google AMP, which are accelerated mobile pages. That is a huge, huge thing that I think that as growth hackers or as business owners, you really need to know a lot about. But above and beyond that, without using AMP, because AMP usually loads about 4 times faster. It's scalable, so people use it. But even just site speed, again, we've talked about site speed, and there's statistics out there, and I don't know them off the top of my head, but your site should load less than 3 seconds. You can check this. Google has website speed tools, but it should load or ping them less than 3 seconds. If it's loading more than 3 seconds, it's too long, bottom line. And that's especially for mobile. Mobile, you should have something that's responsive and very mobile friendly. Because if we're saying that over 50% of people now are on mobile as their primary way of searching the internet, that's huge. And those numbers increase as the person's income increases, right? Because they can afford better mobile devices, and they also will have more access to tablets, although we're seeing tablet usage go down. But the flip side is actually also true, right? So people in lower income brackets almost only use cell phones because they can't afford to get a laptop, but they have a smartphone or a cell phone to access the internet. So depending on those two diverging markets, those are people you're really going to see using mobile in a higher percentage.
So mobile essentially is the future.
Mobile's here. I wouldn't even say it's the I would say it was the future 3 years ago. Yeah, or 6. Yeah. I remember being at a conference, sitting there, and a speaker came up, and this was probably 6 years ago. And he grabbed his cell phone and he said, if you've solved the mobile situation on your website, you solved the problem of last year, and then threw his phone and cracked it. And it was just for dramatic effect, of course, but this was a marketing conference, and he was like, look, you should have already done that. That's 6 years. So again, I saw this 6 years ago, and he was saying at that time it was too late. Not too late, but you should be in it. You should be going all in mobile, and like you said, getting an audit, doing a site speed test right away and fixing those things. Unfortunately, when you're using something like Shopify, for a lot of reasons, Shopify doesn't want people going in and playing with their code. I'm going to make sense, but you can't really move the needle too much on there. I'm happy to look at that viewer's site and let them know if we can do anything or not, and give them that assessment. But that's something that's critically important. And if your site's not mobile friendly, it's kind of like having an office space and no doors, in my opinion. It's like, how are people getting in? You're making them crawl through the windows.
Okay. So what do you see, through your crystal ball, the future? I mean, we're talking about mobile. It's already here. It's going to stay. And there's, more and more usage for work and production, like just recording videos through your mobile phone and publishing that live and that sort of stuff. So what's the future in your opinion?
Yeah, well, there's more computing power in your mobile phone than there were to land people on the moon, right? And that's always what people talk about. That's just amazing in that sense. I wouldn't say the future. I would say, but what's the right now is semantic search, right? And that's searching, looking at using voice, right? So how many people are driving or what have you and say, okay, Google or Siri, what is the best podcast? What is the best coffee shop? Or who should I talk to regarding X, Y, and Z? Or they're using Amazon, right? And they're talking to, the Echo, or they're talking to Google Go. So it's all voice search. And so again, that's the present, it's not the future, but there's not many people talking about it to a general audience. And so that's another situation that should have already been solved. But if that's not something you're working on, then that's something you should be working on in relevancy with SEO, with really solid SEO practices. But to answer your real question, which is what's the future? The future really, and it's also kind of here, and I just had a conversation with a large company that people would know, I can't mention it, is AI. And how AI is going to be integrated with, their question to me was, how can we integrate AI with traditional SEO and search as it relates to wearables, right? And all that data, make it so they know that how can they put their product in front of Doug at the right time to make the purchase, and how will they know? And so these companies, and I'm talking about Fortune, this is a Fortune 100 company, so it's a big company. They're already thinking of this. They're putting plans in place now for that to happen.
What would be some of the biggest mistakes that you think people are making right now with AdWords?
The biggest mistakes is they're not managing it. I can't tell you how many companies we go into, and even they'll have an agency that's doing it for them, but they're not going in there and touching their AdWords accounts on a weekly basis. And so when I say touching, you don't really necessarily have to do anything, although we're always doing stuff in someone's account, which blows their mind. Everybody thinks you just set it and forget it, and it doesn't work that way. You constantly want to be manipulating things, changing your bidding, but also going from exact match or broad match to exact match key phrases is really critical. And once you get enough actual impressions and clicks, you can go into the display network, which is also an untapped market for many people. Right now, you're seeing everybody going to Facebook, and Facebook ads are cheap. That's awesome. But Google is warm market leads, right? Facebook, you're hoping you get in front of somebody at the right time in the right moment in between cat videos. With Google, it's someone searching and they're raising their hand saying, hey, I have a problem. How can I solve it? And so with AdWords, you really want to look at that intent marketing. So people don't. People put what they think. They'll just put the name of their product rather than the solution their product provides. And that's a big mistake.
With the high amount of mobile apps are in the stores nowadays, is it still a good idea to build a mobile app for your business?
I'm a strategist, so it's always a case-by-case basis for me, right? I get asked, we don't build apps. And so if there's a great app builder watching this, reach out to me, please. We've had a hard time finding very trustworthy app building companies. But I would say that for a local small business, no, probably don't need an app. But if you have a community, which all businesses should be building if possible, a community like the one you've built, then an app makes sense because you can actually retain your community. Making it easier for them to engage is always critical. And your app could be a bridge, right? Your app could be using another person's technology with just your branding to make it easier for them to get in and have that. The other version that's really good with an app is branding. Because how many times, on a given day, are you looking at this? Right? When we talk about email marketing, which is something we do, and I know that's not our topic, but I ask people are like, oh, email marketing is horrible. Like, I'm like, well, how often do you check your email? And then you just see people like, oh man, I check in the morning, I check in the bathroom, check an email all day. It works. And so apps work too, but I've seen them used really poorly with small businesses that have been sold an app that just doesn't make sense, right? Like the local coffee shop probably doesn't need an app. They probably should be investing in Nextdoor, AdWords, Yelp, etc. But if you have a larger company that actually has a community with user aspects, then I would say go for it.
Okay, such as the Business for Geniuses community. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Businesses for Geniuses community, there should be an app for there.
Okay, should you design for mobile first and then for desktop?
I say design for the user experience. So so this is one of these politically correct answers, right? But we design for mobile. In fact, we're seeing, some designers come in and doing just one column designs now. And this is interesting in the marketing field. So single column design is specifically designed to fit and render on a mobile, but I would say design with AMP in mind, right? So with that AMP, accelerated mobile pages in mind, and making sure you can have that technology, and design with site speed in mind. Because you need a user to be able to use your answer really quickly, because our attention spans are so quick that even a 30-minute video like we're doing here, it's hard for people to stay engaged and they want to be entertained. So you need to get them right away and make sure it's easily accessible for them all times.
I should probably start learning how to make balloons, or have some like juggling while we're doing the
Exactly. There needs to people like to be entertained.
What kind of talents do you have to entertain?
Nothing. That's why I have to stick to strategy and SEO and full stack marketing, because I'm not as entertaining.
All right, Doug, it's the same for me. I'm definitely not entertaining. That's not my focus. But thank you so much for doing this. Sorry about that. We're kind of out of time. Let's hopefully do another one of these at another time with a different topic. But thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.